What's going on, folks? What's going on? Happy Thursday to you. Welcome to Pro Fan Talk. This is Marcus Thomas. Thank you for joining me. Been a busy week. Unfortunately, it would have been good to come back and get to talking about the Phillies being World Series champions, but alas, it was not to be. Um, we went down to 6 games, had a good run, A lot of talk about what Rob Thompson should have done, whether or not he should have pulled Wheeler. I don't think he should have, but he did. I don't really have a problem with it because that's what he had been doing all year. I saw his interview. That's something that they had planned to do. And I say, if you're going to go down, you go down swinging the way you want to go down. So disappointed that they lost, but that's the way it goes. Houston was just a better team. Their bats got hot when they had to get hot. They made the plays when they had to make the plays. We were feast or famine, man. It was, we get hot one game and then we automatically cold the next day. So it was just wasn't meant to be. Houston was the better team. It looked like in Game 5 when we were down 3-2, it was 1 out, bottom of the ninth. JT Realmuto hits a bomb back to the wall, and who was that? Chas McCormick just makes a hell of a catch, and that just kind of ended the momentum. So he would at least got a double. Maybe he could have legged out a triple, depending on how the ball would have bounced. But we would have had a guy in scoring position, and perhaps we could have tied the game and did some other things. But they made the play when they had to make it. The guy at first base makes that play where Schwarber hits that burner down the first base line and he snags it. Just a game of inches. We're that close. They made the plays and we didn't. Bottom line. So proud of the boys. They represented. If you go back and look back in June when they fired Girardi and Rob Thompson was named the interim manager. Then Bryce Harper goes down with the broken thumb, and then Schwarber picks up the slack. Then he gets cold. It was a lot of stuff that happened, man. So, but at the end of the day, it was only 2 teams at the end, and we were one of them. Nobody expected us to beat the Cardinals. Nobody expected us to beat the Braves. And then we had to tackle the Padres, and we took care of everybody, and we got to where nobody thought we would be. So proud of the Phils. They did it. Hopefully they're going to make some moves in the offseason, strengthen up that bullpen, get some more bats, and we'll be back in the same spot next year. So we'll see. But glad you could join me. A lot of stuff going on, man. The NFL was on fire today. But hey, man, listen. NFL is the gift that keeps on giving, man. I need to make that a shirt or something. Good grief. But thanks for joining me. We're going to get into it. I see my mom is number 1 out the limo. Mom was in here early. Sean Young, number 2 out the limo. Appreciate you, brother. Vince was my guy down in Houston. I appreciate you, Vince. Back and over the jet lag. TK. Sarah, see my family in there. I appreciate y'all. So, and it's funny. You know what? I think I will do that now. Let me do this since we got new sponsors and I got to start reading these spots. So I will do it like this. The first 5 out the limo is brought to you by Fan Up. Fan Up is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. Daily contests and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use the promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points, a $50 value. fanup.app. And there you have it. I think I like that. Having a sponsor for the people out the limo. Yeah, we'll keep that going. But man, I had made a note because I was like, who plays tonight? Nobody plays tonight. It's like a Thursday night football bye week. And based on some of the games we've had in the past, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year, because with the stuff that we're about to get into with the Washington situation, who's going to buy the Commanders? If Jeff Bezos buys the Commanders, what is that going to do for the whole Thursday Night Football? Because now you got an owner who, like, he owns Amazon. So is he going to have more? Like, how does that work? With is that a conflict of interest? Well, no, it wouldn't be, but like I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work if you have an owner that owns the network that Thursday Night Football is playing on. But I mean, he paid a lot of money for that, though. So I don't know. But we'll see. But we'll see. We got it's time to get back to business. Time to get back to business. And there we go. Washington comes to Philly this time. Washington comes to us. So we've got we took care of business last time, and I have no doubt that we will take care of business this time. However, there are a couple of things that are still unknown. Number one, and most important being, is Chase Young playing. He's back off PUP from that nasty ACL injury from last year. But I haven't heard anything about him playing. I know he's practicing, but I haven't heard about if he's going to be in the game or he's going to be on the active roster for Monday, because we're Monday Night Football. So he's a great player, great young player. Had a real bad ACL tear. So it's been, I think, it's either yesterday or today has been a calendar year since he got injured. So it's been a long recovery. So if he doesn't play on Monday, I would imagine he's going to play sometime this month. So they're itching to get him back on the field because he's a force. He's a difference maker. He's that type of player. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not sure what the deal is. Then we got Taylor Heinicke. Now, is Taylor Heinicke better than Carson Wentz? No. However, for some reason, Taylor Heinicke gives the gives the Commanders a spark that Carson Wentz does not. That is quite evident. The flip side of that is he is prone to make the big mistakes. He had the Minnesota Vikings beat, and he threw a bad interception. It wasn't a dumb interception. It wasn't like he was just throwing the ball away and made a mistake. It was a bad interception because he had his tight end open right in front of his face, and he overthrew him and threw it right into the arms of the Minnesota safety. So he's prone to make those bad mistakes at the worst possible time. Washington should have beat Minnesota. They were in control of the game, and in those last two series, they just crapped the bed. They just couldn't finish it. They could not finish it. So just when you think, I know he had that one play where it was, I think he ended up scrambling and he put a spin move on the DB. I was like, yo, that was pretty. That was pretty. He almost got his head blowed off, but it was pretty. So he can make some moves and he can make plays, but he's prone to making that big mistake. And I'm interested to see, now we're in the second half of the season, I want to see what Gannon is going to do with our defense. Because now we know when we get pressure, especially when we got Sweat and Quinn and Hargrave, and we still got Cox and BG, everybody's playing good, but specifically on our edges, we got Sweat, BG, Hassan Reddick, and Robert Quinn. And the one thing I've been noticing about Robert Quinn, he has not recorded a sack, but very similar to how Hassan Reddick was for the first 3 or 4 games. Like, he was right there. Like, he was like right there, either bringing pressure, or if the quarterback decides to step left instead of stepping right or up, he gets that sack. So Quinn is right on the precipice of making plays. But you know my philosophy, you don't have to make the play to make the play. So if he's coming around that edge and he can force the quarterback to take a step up, get out of his passing lane, get out of his line of sight, whatever, that's worth it to me, because you're forcing the quarterback to do something and to make a decision he may or may not be ready for. If you can get that quarterback to throw the ball that half a second early, that throws off the timing. That could be the difference between an incomplete pass, an interception, and a completion. So, when you're back there in the pocket and you're waiting for somebody to pop open, that half a second, that's the difference. That's all it takes for a defensive back to get his hand in the way and get an incomplete pass, or to tip it up and possibly get a pick. So just disrupting the quarterback's flow and his momentum can cause some good things to happen for our defense. So Robert Quinn is almost there. He's going to come on, and I think he's going to wake up just like Hassan Reddick did. Hassan Reddick was like, well, we haven't waiting for all of them sacks that he had last year. And it's like, you got to give him time to breathe, get comfortable, and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's going to get there. And even if he's due to do something big, and he might be one of those guys that he's playing, he's in there, and he's just going to be there. And all of a sudden, when you least expect it, he makes the biggest play. Kind of like what BG did a couple years ago in the Super Bowl. Hadn't really done much, and then he makes the play when he needs to make the play. And then you remember, like, he's that dude. So I tell it, listen, go back and watch what he did with the Rams. He was doing work. So, Jake, what's going on, dude? Yeah, I'm hoping Robert Quinn has a good primetime day, man. I'm with you on that one, bro. Let me post that up. Yeah, man. I thought Atlanta and Carolina was next week. I looked at the schedule. I thought it was next week. Maybe I'm wrong. Rob Povey, what's good, man? It's all good tonight, bro. It's all good tonight. My dude, King DV, yo, we have got to hook up, man. I'm trying to make that happen. My schedule is crazy. But, yo, we definitely have to collab, man. Definitely have to collaborate, bro. I watch your stuff. Good content. King DB Sports, check them out, man. Listen, it's enough food on the table for everybody to eat. You know what I'm saying? So, Jeremiah, the man that does not sleep. My dude, what's going on, bro? Yeah, King, we going to make it happen, bro. We going to make it happen, man. So, I'll be in touch with you. We definitely going to make this happen. So, Washington's coming to us. Like I said, I don't know what the deal is with Chase Young, but I mean, we'll find out. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. With or without Chase Young, they don't have a better team than we do. The one thing that I'm still worried about, it is a concern. This is not a nitpick anymore. This is a concern, a legitimate concern. Our tackling is god-awful. Our tackling is hot garbage. We've got to get better at that. Every team's going to miss tackles because the guys on the offense get paid too. But we got to do a better job of when running backs get to the second level, we got to start coming at them high, trying to get the knockout shot. Like, I don't know what our DBs are doing sometimes. When a running back gets to the second level, you got to take the legs out and get them to the ground. You can't go at somebody chest high. It's like you're not bringing enough with that. You can't argue with physics. If he 215 and you 205 or 190 or whatever, you're going to lose that battle. You're going to lose that battle. And we do not, this era's NFL is not the Brian Dawkins and the Wes Hopkins and the Ronnie Lotts. We don't have too many people like that. Troy Polamalu, Ryan Davis. We don't have guys like that anymore because you can't hit like that anymore. You hit like that now and they'll throw a penalty on you. So we don't have that luxury anymore of having, a head buster playing free safety that keeps everybody in check. We don't have that no more. Andre Waters, you come across the middle if you want to. We didn't even want to do that in camp because you had Andre Waters and you had Wes Hopkins back there. Wes Hop was chill. Andre Waters, in practice, he'll knock your head off. But when it comes to game time, even back then, like when I played in the 90s, you knew you did. If you came across that middle, there was a toll to be paid. But you can't play that like that anymore. I'll never forget. I was trying to find that video clip because I know they played it on ESPN and stuff like that. Brian Dawkins, this is when they first started doing this. Brian Dawkins came across the middle. Somebody came across the middle for a pass, and Brian Dawkins took his head off and got a penalty. Got penalized for it. He was pissed. And I believe he got fined for it. But there is an interview with him in the locker room, and he made a point to say, if you are going to fine me for that hit, he said, I don't want to see it on ESPN. I don't want to see it on the highlight. I don't want to see it on back in the day, they used to do this thing with on ESPN where they used to say all the hits were jacked, that you got jacked up. They used to do that thing, they got real popular, but they don't want to. He made a point in the post-game interview to say, I don't want to see that nowhere. If y'all gonna find me for it, you can't use it. And they didn't. They didn't. And that was like the first time you saw like those real heavy hits like that they made. They were trying to, slowly but surely make the game safer. Hot cross buns, yeah. Jeremiah, I'm with you, bro. I'm definitely with you, man. It's hot garbage. TK, I've been saying that all year, man. I've been saying that all year. Tennessee is going to be a tough out. Now, looking at the whole, they can't run Henry all game. They can't run him all game. And it's hard to win like that. So there's been plenty of times where people have been able to contain Derrick Henry because they can't throw. Malik Willis is not ready yet. He's got some skills. But the other, was it last week when Tennessee receivers didn't record no catches? So he's, and he's doing like, 100, 150 yards a game. We should not get beat by a young quarterback like that. He's just not ready. So I don't think we should have any problem handling Tennessee, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yep, they almost beat Kansas City without a completed pass to their wide receiver. You are absolutely right. So we at least got to be able to get them down, and that might be bad for business if Derrick Henry gets started. Our front four can get to him, but we got to be able to take him down. And I got a bad feeling that if he gets into the secondary, it's going to be an ugly endeavor. So, and you guys have heard me say, if you follow me on social media and all that kind of stuff, like, listen, if we're going to get beat by somebody, I want to get beat because they beat us. I don't want to get beat because we couldn't make a tackle. I'm starting to see some things that now everybody's got film on us. Everybody's watching film and they're cherry picking our games that we play, and they're cherry picking what the teams did against us. So that's coming. I noticed when we played the Texans ran a couple plays. I think they ran 3 plays where they did that naked boot that Dallas was killing us with. I think they had 2 or 3 plays like that. And I believe 2 of them were successful. So people are looking at stuff like that. I did notice that the Texans were playing that Tampa 2 defense, which looks very similar to what Tampa Bay was doing against us in that playoff game. Except this time, Jalen Hurts was slicing and dicing them up, putting the ball where it needed to be. So I've been noticing that, watching a lot of film. And you start to see a lot of tendencies and a lot of tells what defenses are doing. And it's nothing but teams watching film on us. When you're the number 1 team in the league, you haven't been beaten. So everybody's looking at every game and they're just taking bits and pieces and say, okay, I see where you guys had success, because now you already know everybody's going to run on us. Everybody's going to try to run on us. We've been lucky enough where we can outscore teams. So we got to, they have to play catch up. You can't run to play catch up. You got to throw the ball. And that's where they get themselves in trouble. That's when our secondary shines, because we are forcing you to make some decisions that you don't want to make. You're pressing, you're forcing throws because you need a big chunk of yardage. You need those chunk plays now because you got to get down the field quick so you can have a chance to get the ball back to do it again. So that benefits us well if we can get out ahead. Same thing with Tennessee. If we can get out ahead of them, they're going to have to throw their way back in the game. And they can't do that. Malik Willis is not ready. I am looking forward to watching this kid play, but right now, he is not ready. He's definitely not ready. So I'd be surprised if they don't RPO us. I'd be very surprised. You already know we're going to get that. We're going to get that type of work when we play Chicago for real. I don't know what Eberflus was doing in Chicago. You got Justin Fields, another one who's, you see the potential, but he's just not ready because he's just not ready. You haven't put the pieces around him. You haven't gave him a decent offensive line yet. It's a work in progress. The team is a work in progress. So you get that kid back there dropping back, not using his legs, and getting the snot beat out of him. And in the first game, you put him back there and let him do what he can do. You see what happens. He breaks Michael Vick's record, 178 yards rushing. You kidding me? So now everybody would be looking at Eberflus like, you could have been doing this the whole time. I believe he had like 8 called runs, and like the last 3 or 4 games had only like 4, something like that. They were not using him correctly. He will be a drop back passer, but he's not seeing it yet. Everything hasn't clicked for him. Everything, like when I see stuff like this, when you see before he got hurt, what was going on with Trey Lance, when you see this stuff, Kenny Pickett, you look at like Justin Fields and all of these young quarterbacks, you see what they're struggling with. And then you see what Jalen Hurts had to go through last year. Same struggles. Not seeing the field, missing open receivers. If he does see the open receiver, he's late throwing the ball because that's a comfort thing. Most teams have lost that because everybody wants something super fast. Everybody wants their quarterback to develop like uber fast, and that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. You got to let these young quarterbacks take their lumps, and you got to put pieces around them. Props to Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni. Not to mention that, let's not sleep on the fact that Jalen Hurts went to work in the offseason. Like, went to work. And it was clear he understood his assignment. He got whatever he needed to get. I would imagine whoever he went to in the offseason, that person, that coach, is going to make a lot of money. Because everybody's going to be trying to do the same thing. Everybody. They'd be crazy not to. To see what success he got out of it. Now, you can't expect everybody to get the same type of results. Because everybody's different. We could all study for a test, and we're all studying for the same test. But when you take the test, some people will do better, some people won't, because some people's recall is better. Some people don't test well. There's different circumstances on how somebody can succeed. So it's a work in progress. And I don't understand. You look at the situation in Indianapolis. That is a hot mess. If I was a player in that locker room, oh my goodness, and they hired somebody off of TV, to me, that's like the ultimate form of disrespect. Now I know Jeff Saturday was a player. Jeff Saturday was a good player. Great player. Blocked for Peyton Manning all those years. But he's a media head, been sitting in the booth for I don't know how long, and you basically going to pick somebody off the street to come coach the team. If you a player in that locker room, that is the ultimate sign of disrespect. Because they don't think enough of your team to bring somebody qualified. And I don't care what you say. There were people in that locker room or people available around the league that were probably familiar with the Indianapolis Colts, their ownership and all of that kind of stuff, and would have been a much better choice to be the interim coach. Anybody else, anybody that was familiar with that locker room, because now you're bringing in a total, them players don't know who Jeff Saturday is. They know he played, and I'm sure he's been around the facility and all of that kind of stuff, but that dynamic when you a player and a coach, and then you bring in somebody that nobody knows, the only way this works is if Jeff Saturday absolutely knocks it out of the park, and I don't see that happening. Just because you know football, all of these dudes that's in the booth, being on the sideline is a totally different thing. Totally different. It's happening too fast. It's all that. I'll never forget. I used to coach my nephews when I used to coach GT football down here in South Jersey. The first time I went to see my nephew Marquise play football, and everybody had mouth about what they should be doing, and I was like, nope, I will never do that. Having played the game, I will never do that. And I made a promise. I said, I'm not going to talk about it. I'll be about it. That following year, I was a coach. And I used to tell parents all the time, like, listen, y'all can do all of that shouting when you on the sideline, but unless you want to come out and help coach, I don't want to hear it. We got all these extra whistles if you feel the need. But don't nobody want to do that. Because once they step on that field, you're susceptible to all of the criticism that you was given, because now you got to make the decisions. Yeah, Sean, you're absolutely right, bro. Jim Irsay bailed on them. They working. They gave this is a flashy way to tank the season. That's what that is. Screw the Rooney Rule or all of that kind of stuff. Rooney Rule doesn't say nothing about an interim coach, so they dodged that bullet. So this is a fancy way of taking the system and taking the season, just so you're gonna have the worst record, so you're gonna have a draft pick. So now what you gonna do? So you're gonna pick another quarterback. And see, the thing is, when you're in that situation, and this is the thing I think teams, it's so hard to get that right, man. If you got that top pick to pick the quarterback, you can pick the best quarterback in the draft. That don't mean he's going to manifest. doesn't mean it. You got to have the right player. You got to have the right coach for that player, and everything has to come together, man. It is a difficult task to pick that diamond, to find that diamond in the rough, man. That's difficult. Again, props to Howie for seeing something in Jalen Hurts. I don't know if y'all saw the interview on Kelsey's podcast. I had heard that story before, but I knew the story about, he thought he was going to Pittsburgh. He thought he was going to Pittsburgh because he had already met and sat down and talked with Mike Tomlin. And him and Mike Tomlin had a good conversation. It was a long conversation. So he got the sense that Pittsburgh was going to pick him up. And then when he got the call, instead of Pittsburgh, it was us. So props to Howie to jumping the gun and finding out who was the best fit for our team, even though nobody saw that coming, because everybody had to arch that brow. Everybody. I was like, what are you doing? People was throwing stuff out the windows and wanting to burn jerseys and all kind of stuff. And as fans, you got to come to the realization that maybe those folks in the front office know a little bit more. That's the reality of the situation. One of the reasons why I started my podcast was because when I started the podcast first, just the audio podcast, and that was just talking to ex-players and stuff and just, what's going on, how the game has changed. But when I started my Facebook page, and I really got into a lot of people's comments on what they think was going on. And it's so far from reality. Like, let me add a different voice and a different perspective as somebody that's actually been in the locker room. Most of the time, it's nothing of what you think. All those media heads that's, they Twitter feeds and stuff like that, they're getting fed that information from somebody on the inside. They don't know nothing. They don't know a thing. Every team has a controlled flow of information. To Adam Schefter, to Ian Rappaport, all of these different people. It is a controlled flow of information. So they don't have scoops. I talked to a source. You know what sources are? Sources are people that work for the organization that give out information. And don't think for a second that those organizations, the Eagles, the Commanders, don't think for a second, the Cowboys, any team you can think of, don't think for a second that they don't know who's leaking the information. Most of the time, it's not a leak. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how to do the subterfuge to shift the focus away from something else. They know exactly what they're doing. So a lot of times, the fans get it because you got a fan's perspective. So one of the reasons why I started doing this was because, I want to give a little bit different feel of it. I remember the first time I was on A2D, I came on as a guest, and they were just ripping the hell out of Jalen Hurts. And it's like, you got to give him time. Nah, he doesn't have the arm. He doesn't have this. He can't read the defense. The problem is they weren't wrong. He was struggling. He was learning. Any young quarterback that has to learn an offense is going through the same exact thing. Anybody that goes through that process is going to struggle. Mahomes struggled. Dak Prescott struggled. Jalen Hurts struggled. Troy Aikman struggled. Steve Young struggled. Everybody struggles. Josh Allen. I used to make a point to bring up the similarities between Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. And people, especially if you're not from Buffalo, everybody else, nobody Josh Allen, they wanted to get rid of Josh Allen. He was that bad. They knew he had a strong arm, but he was so inaccurate. So they were like, well, we going to have to get another quarterback. They were ready to ship Josh Allen out of Buffalo. It took Josh Allen 4 years to get it. And then the light clicked on. But it took him, he started looking right his third year. The fourth year was when everything blew up last year. Now they know what they got on their hands, and they hoping his elbow's okay. But it took him his first 2 years. They didn't think he was the guy because he was so bad. They wouldn't trade him for anything right now because he's that good. But you got to go through that bad stuff to get to where you want to get to. And in this era of social media and 24-hour news cycle and all of that kind of stuff, everybody's always looking at you. So you don't have room to breathe. You don't have room to grow. You got to be good now. And for the most part, the media and the fans don't want to, if you don't look a certain way, if you don't check those boxes, people are still going to give you, they're still going to move the goalposts on you. They're still going to do it. They talked all of that smack last year, and I made a point last year. I keep telling myself, one of these days I'm gonna have a show, and I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna get clips of all of the conversations in the past, so I can have an I told you so episode. It's like, yep, saw that coming. Yep, I said it right there. Because you see things, and it's like you got to stop and let somebody grow. Sunshine down in Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. I said it last year. If Trevor Lawrence would have had Jalen Hurts' stats last year, Trevor Lawrence would have been a first pick All-Pro, Pro Bowler. But he wasn't nowhere near that. But because he was the high draft pick, he's got all of the boxes checked. He's tall. He's got the arm. He's got the look for the quarterback you want. He's the 6'5" guy with the he checked all of those boxes. But he wasn't there yet. Even this year he struck. He started out good, and I believe he's going to get a lot better under Doug Peterson, but he still ain't there yet. He still got a ways to go. Next year, I think he might be dangerous because next year it'll be his second year in Doug's system. Like this year, this is his second year. It's Jalen's second year in Nick Sirianni's system. And people always, they don't understand how difficult it is to learn NFL offense. I'm hoping, next year, Justin Fields, you're finally seeing what Justin Fields can do if you use him right. Now, their head coach, what happens if he gets fired? Now you bring another coach in and another offensive system in, and he's got to start from square one. So now you got to relearn and do all of that kind of stuff, and that's difficult to do. So now you stunt your growth. So for everybody that thinks, we got to get a new quarterback where you can just grab somebody else and your situation is going to be better. No. Doesn't work that way. Everybody's not going to get – Justin Herbert came out of the gate hot. Now he's cooled off. But he took his lumps. Joe Burrow was the same way. Then he got hurt. But he showed promise. But he was still – he still wasn't quite ready yet. When he got hurt, he had a year to sit around and watch film all day. That's all he could do. So I'm very interested to see what happens with Trey Lance and with the 49ers next year. Because this was his learning year. Not McVay, the guy in San Francisco. He's a great coach. He's a great offensive coach. So I want to see what he learns just sitting around watching, because I don't think Garoppolo's going to be there next year. I don't know. You got to let these people. Who would have thought in a million years Geno Smith would be balling like he was balling? I remember watching Geno Smith. Where did he go? West Virginia? And I was like, yo, this kid's going to be good. And it just never. But then again, he was with the Jets. The Jets were perennially bad. And it just, sometimes you got to let people get there. And I say this all the time because he's the easiest example to give. Two, really. And a lot of y'all are too young for this. I'm 52, so I remember when it happened. Troy Aikman and Peyton Manning. If you go, thank you, Kyle Shanahan. Thank you, Sean. If you go back and look at Peyton Manning and Troy Aikman set a record for, no, Troy Aikman won one game with Dallas. He was 1-15, I believe, his rookie year. Peyton Manning, I believe, set the rookie record for interceptions. So they, like, you think you talking about stinking it up, but back then the mindset was different. The mindset was totally different. This is our number one pick. We gonna live or die with him. He got about 4 years to get it right. But we got to put some pieces around him, and you see what happened with Dallas. You see what happened with Peyton Manning. When you put the right pieces around somebody and you give them time to grow. You give them time, especially at quarterback. You give them time so that mind can develop and everything can slow down. Most people who've never played you don't understand what it means when the game slows down for you. All that means is you seeing things. I'll say it like this. The same way, if any of y'all out there got kids, when you see your kid knock the hot pot off the stove or knock something off a table and you sprint to go get it because you saw it coming. The question is, can you get to him fast enough to prevent him from getting hurt or a disaster or the vase shattering on the floor or something like that? Can you get there fast enough? You see it coming. You see all them videos where dad sleep on the couch and the kid rolls off the bed. Next thing you know, dad is in some crazy position and has done caught the kid before his head hits the hardwood floor. Stuff like that happens all the time. It's the same way in football. You get a sixth sense of stuff happening before it happens. That's what happens when the game slows down for you. When you get in that zone, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. So we'll see what's going to happen. But one of the things, I posted this today. I was like proud of this one. Man, listen. Dan Snyder and the NFL, let me blow this up all the way. They got some issues. They have got issues. And when you have issues, it's you. When you have issues, it's you. Now, I remember they raised all of that stink when the John Gruden situation happened. Now, whatever your opinion is of Gruden before or after the email was released and what he said, that's your opinion. But where it ran afoul for my taste, and this is when I knew it was a dog and pony show. And I knew, I'm like, this is a powder keg, and y'all sitting on top of it just smoking cigars. And eventually some of that ash is going to hit that powder keg, and that shit's going to blow up. And that's exactly what happened. The NFL had this woman conduct a 6-month investigation. And when it was all said and done, it was all in the media. Everybody knew about it. They let this woman do this investigation and had the nerve to have the woman give them an oral report. No documentation. They wanted an oral report of her findings. So she's got 6 months worth of information. She didn't put it together in a file. They didn't want to booklet it, nothing. They took the oral report, and that was the end of it. And when that happened, I knew the NFL was about some BS. That let me know right there. And it's not like we didn't think it anyways. But that just lets you know, like, the owners are scared to death because you don't send out 60-something thousand emails or whatever it was. When you talk a certain kind of way, you got to be talking to somebody who talks a certain kind of way. So the line of communication's got to be 2 ways. So there were probably some people on the receiving end of those emails that responded in kind. Birds of a feather. That's what the NFL is scared of, because my estimation is if some of those emails got out and you see some of that language and how some of them old white men were talking, old rich white man, that let's keep it 100. You got some old rich white man with a majority black football team. You already know how that go. Again, let's keep it 100. You already know how that go. So I'm quite positive there were some communications that were probably a little bit distasteful. And after all of that mess that the NFL put out that dog and pony show, the only person that gets in trouble is John Gruden, who has nothing to do with the Washington organization. And I'm like, what was that? But to go back to the original point, they let this woman give a 6-month investigation, and they basically didn't want to hear what she had to say. And I was like, that's some BS right there. And then you had Daniel Snyder getting into it with the other owners and like, okay, if you want to kick me out, I got information on all y'all. He sound like Denzel. I'm going to see all y'all in Pelican Bay. I'm going to have cases on all y'all. So now I'm interested to see. Attorney General was like calling his bluff, like, okay, what you gonna do? We coming after you. Attorney General today said Daniel Snyder, the Washington Commanders, Roger Goodell, and the NFL. When he said Roger Goodell and the NFL, that means all of those owners. All of those owners. Now, you could probably look at a couple owners and you know people that are above board and stuff like that, but I don't put nothing past nobody when you think you with your people and you talk a certain way. We know how that go. Keep it real. You know how that go. You say some things when you with your family that you wouldn't say outside of home. And now you're talking about some old rich folks that are used to getting everything their way. When I say jump, you say how high. That attitude. What's up, Greg? You talking about a bunch of old men, trust fund babies, generational wealth, all of that kind of stuff, these buzzwords you hear, these are those people. When you own a team for that long and you got billions in the bank, billions with a B, you don't worry about stuff. You don't worry about going to jail because you can buy people. You can send somebody a couple million and you won't lose a beat. That's a drop in the bucket for you. So it is a powder keg that is about to explode. And I'm very interested to see where this goes. Because there's going to be people that are embarrassed. There's going to be some more fallout for it. I would imagine John Gruden is at his home cracking up, laughing. Karma is a bitch. Y'all gonna get what you get. You gonna hang me out to dry? Got something for you. And you're gonna have some people. This right here could. This is a game changer. This is a game changer. Take the Rooney Rule and all the other kind of unfair practices when it comes to minorities and all of that kind of stuff. You talking about a way to change an entity from the inside out and initiate great change. This is how you do it. When you start talking about sending people to jail. Because the last place Daniel Snyder ever thought he was going to be was in the crosshairs of an attorney general. Do I think he's going to go to jail? Probably not. But stranger things have happened. And if, like the attorney general says, they have evidence, the attorney general does not go on national TV and say he has evidence and not have evidence. The attorney general is not going to do that. He is not going to waste your time and his. That is not his job. So when he's coming, and my guess is he had this information a long time ago, and he spent all of that time dotting his I's and crossing his T's, because when you come with it, you better come correct. You in Washington, D.C., you're the attorney general, and you about to take on the NFL. You got to come correct. And when you do put it out there like that, you better damn well know what you're talking about. So this guy ain't playing no games. Daniel Snyder, Roger Goodell, and everybody that owns an NFL team should be shaking in their boots. Because if they ever got an email from this fool and they responded, because you already know it's some people in there that they was having conversations. They wasn't reading the email or responding to an email. They were having conversations. Now, maybe those conversations continued on the phone or something like that, but guess what? I am positive there are some conversations in those emails that nobody expected to ever see the light of day. Not to mention, you know how old people get when they trying to deal with technology. They still don't understand it. They still, y'all know what I'm talking about. Listen, I work for the fruit stand, so I know what I'm talking about. I've seen people whose business was their name incorporated come in my store and can't figure out how to change the email password, or you buying products for 50 people, 50 employees that work for you, but you don't have the account numbers. Like, I haven't seen stuff like that. So when you're talking about people with that much money, they don't never do nothing for themselves. And they really don't understand technology. What's up, Tom? Tom, you feeling better, bro? I hope you feeling better, dude. But yo, them old people, man, they don't understand technology. So I'm quite positive that there's probably some people out there that was having conversations via email and just not even thinking about it because they don't understand the tech. So it's a lot of people, man, and it just being in that space. That's a different space. And all of a sudden, now you got Jay-Z and Bezos and Matthew McConaughey. And I think it would be good for the game, but this is a game changer right now because it's going to put everybody's on their best behavior. Everybody's on their best behavior. Like when you was little and you slept over your cousin's house and you and your cousins, y'all have fun together and y'all raising hell in the house, in your aunt's house, and your aunt come in there, say, if y'all don't calm down, I'm whooping everybody's butt. They are on notice right now. They are on notice right now. And whether or not they have anything that they can really indict them, not for nothing else, the court of public opinion is strong these days. So let something come out that's unfavorable to a certain organization, to a certain owner. You said some stuff about black players, Latino players, gay players, stuff like that. Because now everybody's covered. Everybody's covered. On every team in the league, you got somebody that's in an interracial relationship. You got somebody who either is or knows or is related to someone who is either trans or gay or bi, or all those boxes are checked now. Nobody is exempt. So if you're talking about one, most likely there's somebody on your team that you're going to have to deal with. Nobody has any more excuses anymore. So I am very interested to see where this goes. I am very interested because now that BS that Roger Goodell did when all this stuff was going on, and you can't really look at Roger Goodell like that because guess who he works for? Roger Goodell works for the owners. So his job is to do what's in the best interest of the owners, not what's in the best interest of the law or whatever, however you want to put it. His job is to look out for the owners. The owners pay his salary. So by proxy, they're telling him what to do. So by the attorney general literally naming him, every owner in the NFL is associated with it. And those jokers got to be shaking in their boots because there's a lot of stuff that they don't want out. It's a lot of stuff that they don't want known. And it's coming. It's coming. It reminds me back when I was a kid, Bugs Bunny was still on the air. Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam will be fighting, and somehow they would find themselves falling in some big warehouse and it was dark, and somebody lights a match, and then you look around, it ain't nothing but TNT and dynamite as far as the eye can see. And the next thing you know, cut to a wide shot and the whole thing blows sky high. That's what is about to happen. The attorney general is not playing. So look for a lot of legal talk. Mike Florio and all people like that, they're going to be coming with the noise, man. They definitely going to be coming with the noise. So, Sean Young, happy Veterans Day, bro. Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you. So, y'all keep watching. Eagles. Let's end with the Eagles. I've got 30-17. Eagles on top. I hope it's less than that. I still want to see our defense get a shutout. That's what I want to see. And real quick, before we go, I saw an article yesterday on social media, and they were asking the question, is the Eagles offense sustainable to go undefeated? And I had to think about what does sustainable mean? And you look at the definition, and sustainable, able to be maintained at a certain rate or level, able to be upheld or defended. Sustainable. Yes, our offense is sustainable. Because if you think about it, we are 8-0. And we haven't played our best game yet. Every game that we played this year, there's always something wrong. Last week, I expected us to handle the Texans. They gave us a better game than anybody thought they would do, especially starting 8 rookies. But we took care of business in the second half and got the dub. So now we 8-0. Having said that, when you go back and look at that game, you already know what the problems are. We talked about tackling earlier. So we still haven't played our best game. We still missing 12 to 15 tackles a game. So we still got room to improve. And while we have that much room to improve, we're still 8-0. And for all them other fans, Cowboy fans, and talking smack about our schedule, like, listen, we ain't make the schedule. And Cowboy talk doesn't bother me. All them people talking about we got a weak schedule. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, if the situation was reversed and they were undefeated, we'd be saying the same smack. We'd be saying the same stuff. So I'm like, talk your talk. Because it's nice for us to be that dude. We're the team that everybody's talking about. So let them talk. If you're going to be mad, you're going to be mad by yourself. So keep talking. We still got the 0 in the loss column. So we need to keep rolling. Our offense is sustainable when you go one game at a time. Our goal this week is not to go undefeated. Our goal this week is to beat the Washington Redskins at Lincoln Financial Field on Monday Night Football. That is our only goal, period. That's the only thing we got to worry about. We'll worry about Indy when it's Indy week. Right now, we got to worry about Taylor Heinicke and the Washington Commanders. That's it. If they take care of business this week, now we 9-0. And you know what? Rinse and repeat. That's how it's sustainable. It never changes. What does Jalen say? The standard is the standard. Everything remains the same. You got to do the same thing every week. We need to win this week, period. It's as far as you go. That's how you run the table. We got to take care of this week. That's it. So, all right. That's all I got, man. I appreciate y'all joining me. Sean, I appreciate you, brother. King DV, I'm going to be in touch, bro. We're going to make something happen, man. We definitely going to make that happen. Catch me on my social media. Catch me on YouTube. YouTube gave us handles now. So my handle for YouTube is youtube.com/@ProFanTalk. Little @ symbol, ProFanTalk. So it's a little bit easier to remember. So I'm putting content up there daily. And then every Thursday, I'll be right here on A2D Radio. That ain't changing. All right. So you guys have a good week. I guess I'm going to turn this game on. And we're going to keep it moving. And I will see you guys on Sunday. I'll probably be having some thoughts on the games and stuff as I'm watching them. And then, of course, Monday night, because I'm going to be all kind of crazy. So I will see you guys there. Have a good weekend. Be safe. And I will holler at y'all. Peace.